Welcome to The Knock, a podcast where we dive into real stories of real people who have experienced life before Christ and the transformations that come when they answer the knock. Whether you're rooted in faith, feeling distant, or still unsure what you believe, our prayer is that these conversations stir something inside you. Every story we share points back to the same truth. When you open the door, everything changes. Let's get into it. All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of The Knock Podcast. We are here with Will Bates, my brother Jared Coe. Will, what's up, man? How you doing?
Good. How you doing? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Jared, you doing good?
Yeah, it's been a fun week, fun weekend. A lot of connecting. Got some cool guests coming up on the podcast. Obviously, super excited to have Will on. So yeah,
there we go.
Doing good.
Yeah. So a little bit about Will. Will is a former law enforcement officer. You said you got out in February.
Correct.
This year,
Yep,
February this year. Super involved in like he's a first Phorm athlete, a trainer, and then talk a little bit about your WillBinspired Foundation.
Yes, we have a nonprofit for military veterans and first responders. We help with stress, PTSD, depression, anxiety, anything that kind of ails military veterans and first responders mentally and physically. We provide fitness memberships, mental health counseling. We have licensed mental health counselors. We do outdoor retreats, wellness retreats. More recently, we started sponsoring veteran and first responder athletes in competition. Nice. Anything you can think of that helps out physically and mentally, you name it, we try and do it. Yeah,
that's awesome, man. Yeah, that's actually how we linked in with Will. We saw some stuff that he was posting. Obviously, my background being in the military, we greatly appreciate what you're doing for that community.
Thank you for your service. Yeah. I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So what got you into that?
So initially, I've always kind of wanted to do something for military veterans. I remember back in the day when Gold's Gym was still a thing here in St. Louis, there'd be this guy that came in. He didn't have his legs, and he had his military bag and everything, and they give you the standard 10% military discount. I'm like, well, man, this guy should get, it should be free.
Right. Yeah.
Just kind of thinking about things that people go through, and that was a while ago, and it was just always in the back of my mind. But then 2020 came around, and you saw people doing the 22 push-up challenge for veteran suicides.
Yeah.
22 suicides a day, which I'm hearing is the number is way up from that actually now.
Yeah. Wow.
And say it again.
I said, wow.
Yeah. And so I was like, got to be something kind of more we can do. And fitness has always helped me. I've been in multiple critical incidents, officer-involved shootings, and I've made it out. And, fitness is how I keep my mental peace. I have a buddy that I went to college with, and he runs an organization called Revital Colorado. So they help out with mental health with first responders in Denver, Colorado area. And we did a men's group from college or whatever. We went out to Colorado, hung out for a week, and he was kind of telling me about everything he was doing. So initially, I was like, that sounds cool, because I was, at that point, I'd been in 2020, I've been in 2 shootings, and I was kind of over it. and I was like, and then, prosecutors were dropping the ball on certain things. And it's like, what am I risking my life out here for if nobody's going to go to jail for certain things and all that? So I was really kind of low on, that kind of stuff. And he seemed like this was really helping him, really kind of filling his cup and everything. And so I was like, maybe I'll do a Revital St. Louis. So we talked about that. And he was so busy on his end with everything, I hated bothering him. So I was like, you know what, I'll just start where I can. In May of 2021, I put out on social media, I was like, hey, I'm looking to pay 1 year in full gym membership for a military veteran to thank them for their service. Because, the gym and fitness has helped me. If anybody knows anybody that could use it, please let me know. Or if you're a military veteran yourself and you want to take me up on this offer, let me know. And so, veterans, first responders, sometimes men in general don't like asking for help.
Right.
So I didn't get a lot of response from people wanting to take me up on it. But my buddy Kenny Callahan said, hey, if you find one, I'll match you. So I went to the local Anytime Fitness right around the corner from my house. I said, hey, do you guys know, or do you know, a military veteran that could use this? It might help out. He said, yeah. He said, I have a couple. So we took care of 2 veteran memberships right there that day. And it was Memorial Day weekend. So I put it out there with my premise kind of being, it's like, hey, why don't we, take care of these guys while they're still here with us versus after they're gone. Now we're giving them their flowers and things like that.
Right.
And so it just kind of blew up and people just started donating. It really started liking what we were doing. And initially it was, I think it was just military veterans, and then I branched out to police and then firefighters and everything like that. And I believe we're over 100 gym memberships that we've given out to veterans, first responders since 2021. Multiple mental health counseling sessions. We started doing couples retreats as well. We have couples that we've taken on these retreats that haven't been out, together anywhere since they've had kids, which some of them was like 10 years ago. Wow. So these are the things that we're trying to do within the organization.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. I mean, I could tell you from, my experiences and unfortunately I've experienced that side of things where I've had, teammates, unfortunately pass because of things like that. So absolutely. I can certainly tell you those efforts are definitely saving lives.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And you brought up a good point, man. Like guys, especially guys of that caliber, military, first responders, people that are going out there doing hard things. That don't help is not a part of their vocabulary.
Yeah. Or what I get is if I offer it or I give it to somebody, it's like, all right, I want to pay it forward, or what can I do to earn this, or and it's pretty cool because I have some guys that I've sponsored or done things for that are a part of the program that are helping other veterans as well. One of my main athletes, Sully Lepke, I'll butcher his name, but his last name, but we've sent him to Greece and France for some World Spartan Championship races, and we just did pretty much half and half type of fundraiser for him to go on this great world race. So he'll be running 7 full marathons in 7 days on all 7 continents.
Wow.
Yeah. And if I call him to help out another veteran at a moment's notice, like I called him one week, there was a guy, a veteran out in Virginia who was going to attempt 100 miles and his buddies kind of backed out on him last minute. And I said, hey, Sully, you want to go run with this guy real quick? He said, yep. So we sent him out there. He ran with that guy.
That's awesome.
And they became great friends, and he's actually going out to West Virginia to help out another veteran that we've sponsored before. So not only am I, we're helping other veterans, but veterans helping other veterans and first responders helping other first responders as well.
Yeah, it's a ripple effect.
Yep, absolutely.
That's cool, man. So talk to me a little bit about how faith has kind of been a part of that journey, or if it has been a part of that journey for you. Yeah,
so for sure. I always say, or I'll tell people, it's like, change before you're forced to change. And it was 2020. I'd been in a shootout with a guy with the AK-47 in June of 2020, and then September was in a situation where I was in a parking lot, got caught up in the middle of a gang shootout. They didn't know we were police or anything like that, and bullets hit our car and everything, and it really started to make me think. Now I have wife and kids, and I've been in multiple back when I was on another task force, but my thing was like, if I were to die today, what would my legacy be? That I just died on the parking lot, doing surveillance, or trying to arrest a criminal that's gonna get out in a couple of days, or am I really changing lives or making a difference? And I just, you feel God talking to you and stuff like that, things that you should do, like, hey, help this person out. He's right here. I keep presenting this person to you. Do what you're supposed to do. Yeah. And you just ignore it sometimes. But I was like, what? I need to do something different. I know I'm capable of doing more. And I've been kind of holding back. And there's ways I can help people outside of law enforcement that would be more of a benefit to me and them, I believe.
Yeah. Has faith been something that you kind of grew up with? Have you always kind of had it? Or?
Absolutely. Yeah, it was funny because my mom just actually showed up at my house today just as a surprise. Yeah. But she is the cornerstone for, me having faith and everything. Since I was a little kid, if the church was open, we were there. Like Sunday mornings, Sunday nights. I didn't know they had church on Tuesday sometimes until she took us there. And, and Wednesday, church was open. She was trying to, get us in there and get us fed by the, the Spirit and everything. And, when you're a kid, you don't appreciate it as much. It's kind of, you're like, do I have to do this? Or do I, it's almost like a chore. And she'd be the same type to wake me up in the morning, like, hey, the neighbor needs their grass cut. This older lady. All right. So she's been very interesting. Anytime I have a question, about scripture or anything like that, I turn to her, and she's, pretty solid on that aspect, and just really brought us up in the church and everything when I was younger. And then, you kind of get on your own away from your parents and everything. And then, the world gets a hold of you and things get different for a little bit. Mm-hmm. But I feel like you always come back, lead a child in the way they should go, and they'll never depart. So I really believe in that because, I had my time away where I was doing my thing without God and didn't work as well.
Yeah, I think you mentioned legacy. I think a lot of what the world wants you to think as your legacy is how much money can you make, what kind of status can you have, stuff like that. And I think what you're doing with your foundation, stuff like that, like that's going to leave. You're like showing a lot of love to other people. Yep. And I mean, I think that's it's super cool that you have the opportunity to show people that, and then also show them what the faith kind of looks like. Yep. Even from afar, just planting the seed.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you mentioned a little bit, you kind of fell away and it didn't work out too well for you. Mm-hmm. You mind kind of getting into that?
Oh, no, I mean, it's just, college, the drinking, girls, stuff like that. And even, when, like certain protests were happening in St. Louis, my relief would be a bottle of vodka when I got home from doing the protests, the arrest, and the crazy nights. Because, there were sometimes we weren't even going home. We were just dealing with the protests, sleeping in our cars, and then waking up to deal with it again. Yeah. So very stressful times. We were getting shot at nightly. And, just probably one of the craziest times I've ever had in law enforcement. But, just looking for different vices that really didn't help. And, kind of going back to, what I know kind of works with, with God and everything. But yeah, it's just definitely struggle a lot trying to do certain things on my own or, doing the things that I know I shouldn't be doing and hanging out with certain crowds that really didn't benefit me or make me any better in any way. And kind of woke up from that and turned things back around and got together. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Dude, that's tough, man, because we've talked about it before. Yeah. Whether it's old military crowd or the football crowd, it's like that's a tough thing that a lot of people don't talk about. Yep. It's like when you start to walk on the straight and narrow, which it's called the straight and narrow for a reason. Mm-hmm. Sometimes those relationships, they kind of fall off. It doesn't mean that you don't talk to those people. It doesn't mean that you're not friends with those people, but it's like you can't go out and hit the club or hit the bars like you used to, because that's not in line with who you're trying to be.
Exactly, and especially if you're married, it's not conducive to
a
happy marriage. You still have your buddies that are single at this age and stuff like that, and still on the party scene, and like, hey man, come out to such and such, and we'll hang out for a week and party. I'm like, I got kids. What are you talking about?
Hey, you start to even if you go and hang out with a buddy at a bar or something, it starts to like weigh on my spirit a little bit. Mm-hmm. The music that's being played at those places, just, and I don't know. I start to sometimes feel bad for it's like there's so many lost people around us, and it kind of pushes you back to, evangelizing, discipling, and that's probably the toughest place to evangelize and disciple. But that's what they don't want to hear that. But it's like, I don't know, because there's been times where we would go out to restaurants, bars, and be there, and I'm like, man, it really puts a weight on your heart to do those things. At least for me, it does. I've definitely noticed that.
And I've had friends that they jaw jack or whatever, and like, oh, you used to be cool, you used to be this. But then now, turn around because they see living a healthier lifestyle, things are going well for me at the moment. It's like now they're asking questions like, hey, what do you think about this, or how should I do this, or hey, I stopped drinking last month and I'm feeling better and all that. So I'm a big actions over words guy. People will follow your example, not so much what you say, but what you do.
Yeah. That's a good point. Cause we were just, out at Lake of the Ozarks hanging out, and, we hung out, we went to a couple kind of like poolside, lakeside bars, and, you definitely kind of get that feeling. And then kind of to your point, actions speak louder than words. Mm-hmm. It's like, sometimes you might be the only Christian that somebody encounters.
Correct.
Right. So how are you representing yourself? And dude, it's tough in those environments. It is tough to not go back to, because we were all out there. The wives were not with us. The kids weren't with us. You know, I'd be lying if I told you that there wasn't temptation to just, you know, grab some more drinks and some more drinks and you know, just have a good time. And you know, you gotta. It's that constant kind of battle. And then, you know, sometimes you realize, like, hey, putting myself in those environments, at least where I'm at. Like, there's some guys that could probably do that no problem, and they're good.
Not me. My biggest thing is I try not to put myself in positions to fail, or even to be, you know, because I know me and I know where I've been and everything like that. And I know, hey, it's probably not the best idea for you to be drinking till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning because, you know, where you've been before is just like, so, I mean, and, you know, and I did a lot of hanging out and stuff like that when I was younger, and I really kind of got over it all. You know, it's the same people doing some of the same stuff. Like even now, if I go out and go somewhere, like, man, you still doing this? You've been doing this the last 10 years, when, you know, and so, you know, it's and by no means am I perfect, or, you know, do I try and portray that, you know, I haven't made mistakes or anything like that. It's just, you know, you can make mistakes and keep making same mistakes over and over again, or you can learn from it and move forward in life. Yeah.
Well, I mean, and that's a big thing that kind of outside looking in, if somebody's like looking at the faith, you know, they look at the broken people within the faith and they're like, oh, well, I just saw my aunt who claims to be a Christian, you know, she was out here doing this. And it's like, dude, I mean, and then sometimes that it gets weaponized against the faith. And it's like, no, like, we're all struggling and daily trying to make the right decisions and do the right thing. And, you know, and that should be encouraging to people on the outside, that it's nobody's, when I say nobody, there are Christians that do try to claim to be perfect, and that's, you know, we're not talking about those folks, but a lot of the times it's like, man, we're all broken. We're all just trying to do the best we can and live life the way God wants us to live life.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But I think you made a good point. Sometimes we are going to be the only person that shows the love of Christ or to show those correct behaviors. And if we're not doing the right things, which we're never going to be perfect, we're all sinful. But if we're not at least making an effort and being a good example, we could potentially lead other people astray.
Absolutely.
But I know you mentioned, you know, there was a time frame where sound like drinking was involved. Around how long was that? Like, what portion of your life? I know you mentioned college, some of the law enforcement.
Yeah. So, well, if I'm being completely honest, like on my dad's side, we have alcoholism with the men. I mean, my dad, my uncle, grandfather, all pretty much alcoholics. My father's no longer with us. He passed back in 2016, but alcohol was a big struggle for him, and it was one of the instances where I should have spoke up more about it that I didn't. So probably up until then, I was pretty decent drinker or whatever. And then after he passed or whatever, I kind of reevaluated some things. So so I started drinking high school, you know, I was in Springfield with my mom and everything like that, and she pretty much held the reins and everything like that. I remember there was a nightclub in Springfield, and all my friends were going to it, and she's like, "No, you're not going." I said, "She's like, you're 15. What are you talking about?" And and I really wanted to go, so she's like, "Okay, we'll memorize, you know, this whole Bible verse and everything like that, and then you can go." So then I did. I memorized the whole thing, or whatever. And she's like, "Man, I didn't think he's going to memorize the whole thing." And so she took me or whatever. But then she sat outside, parked out front for like an hour. She's like, "All right, it's time to go," or whatever.
Yeah.
But so she wasn't having it. But my dad was a lot more lax or whatever. You know, I could hang out as long as I did, as long as he knew where I was and stuff like that. So, I mean, we'd have high school parties, and that's, you know, junior, senior years when I first kind of started drinking, and then it just led into college. And then, you know, I did the personal trainer thing and security bouncer thing for a while at a couple of nightclubs, and, you know, that's more drinking. Then law enforcement, you know, how do you deal with getting into a shooting or something critical and everything like that? You guys go out and drink, and so it's just, I mean, it just stuck around forever. And then that's where you find yourself. And then especially when kind of COVID stuff kind of happened, I ended up being upwards of 300 pounds almost. About 3 pounds away from 300. I was like, I got to make a change. So I did the 75 hard program and lost about 45 pounds, and then just really kind of, I mean, I didn't give up drinking completely, whatever, but it wasn't a priority. I didn't need to drink to have a good time, feel good, and all that. Because more so than anything, it increased my anxiety, depression, and everything like that. And much better off without it. And like I said, I'll have some here and there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I haven't completely stopped. Like my wife, she hasn't had a drink in I think 2 years now. Wow. But I'm almost there, because it's like, for like a drink or two, I guess it feels good. But I used to be like, all or nothing. Yeah. It's like, if I'm drinking, I'm trying to get drunk. So
we know about that. Yeah, for sure.
So
I mean, that's still I mean, just the way we do everything. Right. It's like I don't lay up.
Right.
I'm going
hard.
360 dunk.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I had put I think one of the last times I really got drunk was it was one of my birthdays. We used to always go out to Clayton and get drunk or whatever. But there's a video I had posted before or whatever, and it's just me just sitting in the chair, just nodded out or whatever, just looking like a child or whatever. And my friends had to pick me up, put me in a car, and I was like, man, this ain't it. And then I woke up to my now wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, noon, like, where are you at? You were supposed to help me with Thanksgiving. And I was like, I'm done. I can't keep doing this. So there was a couple, come to Jesus moments and things like that. It was like, this lifestyle ain't for me. It's not going to help me move forward in any way.
Yeah. No, and we have some similarities. I mean, on our dad's not with us. He passed in 2011.
I'm sorry to hear that.
2011. And actually, like, I'm the oldest I believe, right? Mm-hmm. I think I'm the oldest like man.
Oh, really? Okay.
And it's kind of similar. It's because they all lived hard lives.
Mom's dad, dad's dad, like both our grandpas. I didn't meet either of our grandfathers.
Really?
Yeah. They're both,
and it was both
drinkers.
Yeah. And then you saw the toll like on our dad from the years of doing that and probably other things. And it's like, man, especially having kids, it's like, I want to be around.
Yeah.
I want to be around and it's funny. It's like you kind of point back to scripture and it kind of tells you, it's like, hey, these things are going to happen if you live that life. It's a pretty informative book.
Yeah.
But no, so you mentioned, there was a time where it just kind of like turned around for you and you started taking your fitness, not drinking, maybe even your faith a little bit more seriously. Was there like a distinct moment that happened, or was it kind of like a gradual progression?
I'd say, it's gradual progression, but then, really after that, that guys trip that we took to Colorado, it really kind of, I don't know, it just kind of opened my eyes to certain things and, how I was living and everything like that. And, just wanted to make a change. I saw, like I said, I mentioned 75 hard, but one of my buddies did it or whatever, and he went, he was big boy or whatever, and then got ripped and shredded. And I was like, man, I remember when I used to be like that. And it's like, in your 20s and, everything's easy to, keep the fat off and everything like that. But then once 30 hits, it's like, hello, you got to work for it now. So that's, so it was really then it's like, man, I'm drinking too much. I'm now to the point where I have kids and stuff like that. And so it's, wanting to be the example for them and be the best version of myself. And, I'm married. So it's like really, wanting to have a good marriage, be a great father, an example to not only them, but my community and stuff like that. And you can't do that when you're a bottle deep and face down in a bar.
Yeah, that is tough, man. So I don't really know. So more of a question, but is the drinking culture, because I know in the military, like the drinking culture is big.
Yeah.
Is that kind of the same in the law enforcement?
Oh, huge. I mean, we would get in a shooting, and then like, all right, we're going to this bar, and then we would just drink until we couldn't drink anymore or it closed down. Yeah. And I mean, one of the task forces I was on, we would start our day probably at noon and go to 8, 9 o'clock at night, hitting the street and, doing jump outs, whatever we need to do, whatever, and then go to the bar after that. Sometimes, or drink somewhere, something like that. And, and it's like, like you said, there's people that can drink responsibly and everything like that, but there's people that drink to numb the pain or deal with mental health or just stuff like that. And when you get to the point where you're dependent on it to survive and everything like that, then that's where you probably have an issue with it.
Yeah. As you're kind of dealing with folks now, like kind of on the other side, like kind of lending a helping hand.
Yeah.
I mean, do you see that a lot in the community, like vets and stuff like that? Do you see people struggling with that?
Yeah, most definitely. And there have been some, and obviously we don't kind of put it out there, but there's been some that we've helped send to like rehab and things like that has actually helped them out. For those who are willing to go and take advantage of it, we partner with different other nonprofits or whatever. So we'll say, hey, this person needs help. They want to go to rehab. Let's send them to Florida, and we'll give some that other nonprofit can. And then, normally it's like 3 of us that'll help send people to rehab. Yeah. And more, it's getting worse with like the drugs and stuff like that. I mean, drinking, but there's, some with our veterans, stuff like that. There's a lot of drugs involved with some of them. One guy addicted to meth, and have offered them help, and like, hey, we can send you here, we can do this, but if they're not willing to buy into it,
it's tough.
It's tough. So, and then we're looking at different types of therapies. We're going to start getting into equine therapy.
Okay. What's that?
Horses, like the horse therapy and stuff like that. Yeah. So there's a place, I believe it's in, is it Forestell, that we're looking at starting to send people there as well. And then there's a campus in right outside of Bentonville, Arkansas, that we're going to start doing men's retreats. Cool. It's really built up. They have an established kind of program and everything like that. So that's another avenue we're looking at doing it, and be, like alcohol free, just guys out there getting physically, mentally better, maybe teaching skills and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. With any sort of transition from doing like a job that requires kind of that physical, fitness, you're going out there, you're doing tough things. I would even, hearing your story, even relating it back to, playing football at a high level. Yeah. It's like you come out of that, your identity's kind of tied up in that, whether it's law enforcement, football, military, your identity gets tied up. And you do see a lot of folks, and I've experienced this where, dude, I got out of the military, like, went to West Point, did 6 years as an engineer, super disciplined, super regimented. Now I was still, drinking, girls, like all the bad stuff. But then when I got out, it was like I didn't have that structure. Dude, I got hefty. Yep. Like I got big. I got big, and then I was drinking. I mean, even throughout the military, like when COVID hit, the military posts, they're always a little bit behind on what's going on. So everybody kind of freaked out for the first 6 months. I think the whole country, the whole world. So they quarantined everybody that had a 1-year-old or younger, permanently quarantined. No matter what your job was, you're going home. Okay. My son was just born. So I had a baby. So I spent, I think 10 months just at home. Okay. So this is back, a little bit younger. We would hop on like Call of Duty or something, and I forget, you were in Colorado, I think, or
California. I was in California.
You were in California, and man, we just get on like a group of friends, play Call of Duty, and man, I was crushing probably about a fifth of whiskey a night at least. And then you get out, you don't have the structure, and I mean that's a tough thing.
Yeah, for sure. I think people underestimate like the aspect of brotherhood too. Through that. Well, you got the physical fitness aspect of being an athlete, being a first responder, where you're always wearing your body out. But then you also have the brotherhood. You have people that are sharing stuff, like suffering together.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And me personally, and I know I kind of touch on it in my testimony, but I hit rock bottom after I lost athletics. I was a college athlete, professional athlete. I played football, and once you lose that brotherhood, you lose the physical fitness aspect, you lose the discipline, it starts to get rough. And if you don't have, I didn't have Christ at the time, you have nothing to fall back on. Right. You're kind of, you isolate.
Yeah, that's when it is the bottle or weed or, what all the harder drugs now. And
And there was one thing, with me being in law enforcement, I was saying, you'll see guys that retire and dead within like 5 years after they retire. They lose purpose and things like that. And I had somebody that I worked with that was pretty much made to retire because they were drinking heavily, and then ended up dying in the jail cell from withdrawals, alcohol withdrawals.
Dang.
Yeah. So I mean, that stuff is, worse than they make it out to seem. It's like, they make everything else illegal, but this alcohol stuff is sometimes the worst out of all of them.
Yeah. It's one of my main prayers that I have for just the young kids. Well, I have kids, so for my daughters, and even for my brother and my wife's kids and stuff like that they find their identity in Christ, not in anything else.
Yeah.
When you lay your identity into anything of this world, and you lose it, you kind of lose yourself. You lose your sanity a little bit. And I know, at least I can speak for myself, that's what I fell into. Yeah. And once I started, it took years, but once I found my identity in Christ, like, you can pull the rug out from underneath me. I'm still going to have peace and joy. You read the book of Job. I mean, this guy was beaten and battered and diseases and all these things, but he still had joy. He still praised the Lord. And that's my prayer. And it's like, especially that we're, wanting to donate more to your foundation. We really appreciate what you're doing. It's like,
thank you. I appreciate it.
Definitely a prayer of ours is going to be to make sure those guys and girls are finding their identity in Christ, or
absolutely, rather
than the things that they've been through.
Most definitely. And that's one of the aspects that we've been talking about, hammering out with this men's group retreat is, having a physical, mental, and spiritual, aspect, of it, or pillars, if you will, in these as well. So, but yeah, no, I think it's very important. And that's, like I said, I left law enforcement in February, and it's a huge leap of faith to kind of go, you're leaving a good job, great insurance, steady paycheck and stuff like that, to kind of go out and do it on your own and, take the risk. But I mean, I've not been in a situation where I've been, God's left me, or, things didn't work out. So I was very confident in, God would have me. And then I'd be able to kind of see my way through what I needed to do.
Well, dude, and I mean, especially with the nature of what you're doing, I mean, God has a hand on it.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely,
sure.
Absolutely.
I mean, dude, like, we've talked about some of the crazy connections,
right?
And, even us getting connected with you just through a random Facebook post. I think it was Maria Granados, whose episode was 2 episodes ago. She just posted something that was like, hey, veteran, do you know anybody that needs, backpacks or school supplies for veterans or first responders that might be, going through it? And I was like, oh, perfect. I talked to my wife. I was like, hey, can we figure out a way to be involved in this? And then boom, we get linked up.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was crazy because my wife and I were talking about the same thing. We're like, how do we, I mean, we grew up pretty poor, and luckily we had a grandma that would come by and buy us school supplies and clothes and stuff. But that was a big thing for us, is like, how do we find a way to donate and help families that don't have a lot of money, so their kids have what they need for school? And just pops up. He's like, hey, there's this event, and I'm like, we were just talking about this like 2 weeks ago. My wife and I, it was very important to us.
That's
so
wild. No,
it's
crazy.
Yeah, and then learning some of the deeper stuff. I mean, I know that the commonalities of you had an experience where I mean, if you want.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it was 2 days after your event. Well, it was before the event happened. Yeah. My wife's good friend, her brother had committed suicide, and he was a former Marine.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. And he 25, 26 years old, young kid, and it all just happened at the same time. And I went to his wake. I didn't know him because my wife and I, we've been married for a little less than a year now. But I sat there and I just observed and saw how how upset everybody was about the situation. I'm like, man, imagine if he had an avenue like something that you provide. Absolutely. He'd probably still be here.
Yeah.
And it all just connected all within a week. And I'm like, man, this is
God's involved in
yeah.
stuff like that.
There's definitely God definitely has his hand in it. And
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
And this one thing maybe you guys haven't seen yet, but we have stepped in on like situations like that to kind of help out the surviving family. Every year we'll pick a family or two for Christmas and kind of help out. One year we had a veteran who took his life the end of November, right before Christmas time, and there was another military veteran that kind of reached out to us, and so we were able to help the family have as good a Christmas as they could with the circumstances and everything. So but yeah, we just think it's really important, and we've gotten a lot of great feedback from different people, and the more this has kept going, the people who didn't want to ask for help are now asking for help. And they're like, okay, we see what you're doing, and they see other people taking it, and that's one of my, I don't know if you want to say pitch, but if I come across a veteran like, hey, can I cover your gym membership? I'm like, no, I'm fine. I was like, well, do you know one of your buddies that could use it or something like that? And he's like, well, yeah, I know a couple guys that really need it. And I was like, well, how will they be okay with taking it if you're not? Maybe if they see you take it or whatever and being the example, then maybe they will as well.
Yeah. Dude, I mean, that touches on like a big kind of deeper, almost like cultural issue with I would say alpha type men.
Right, correct.
Right. And I don't know. Don't ask me about the history of how it stemmed or anything, but I am starting to see a little bit more of a shift towards vulnerability.
Correct.
And especially the generations that have fought wars or the police officers that have been in a lot of tense combat related situations. You start to create that scar tissue, and you're like, hey, I don't need a handout, I don't need any of that, but it is good to start, and this is encouragement to anybody listening. It's like, if you're in that position, man, and you need help, or somebody that needs help, be vulnerable. Usually what I've seen in some of the conversations we've had is just, if somebody leads with vulnerability, it opens the whole room up. And as men, we try to put a lot on our youshoulders, and especially like big, strong men. You try to put a lot on your shoulders, and it's okay if you're struggling. And that's good, man. And how do you think the physical fitness side kind of relates to maybe the mental health and like the spiritual, like that tie-in? I mean, it's big for me too. Have you put much thought into like how those things kind of relate to each other?
Well, I mean, I think most men are somewhat aggressive in nature, and it's like you gotta find an avenue or outlet to let that out. And if you're in the gym or you're running and endorphins are kicking and firing up, then I just you just feel overall better. Or at least I do, after an exercise. And back when I was running a lot, I mean, they call it runner's high, whatever, they call it that for a reason, because I mean, you just feel like, I don't know, to me it felt like a weight was lifted off my shoulders, and I just felt less anxiety, less negative thoughts and everything. It's like when you push yourself, or you do the hard things and everything like that, and you see what you can accomplish, that's how you kind of build your confidence. It's like, keeping the promises that you make to yourself, doing what you said you were going to do. Because, how many times have, someone said, I'm going to start January 1st, I'm going to lose this weight or whatever. And, 2-3 weeks in, you're back to eating fat again, and it's like, you keep disappointing yourself. You don't believe in yourself. You don't believe you can do it. How is anybody else going to believe in you? Yeah. So.
No, absolutely. We've done a lot of, I don't know how to put it, the type of work that we've done with like the rewiring of our brain,
perspective changers.
Perspective changers, and we've kind of went through like a program, like an intensive program that was kind of like backed by neuroscience and all that stuff. And one of the things that came out of it for me is exactly what you're talking about, and I tie in a spiritual element to that too. When I wake up, like, I'm wired, like, and I know one of my big vices, and he's experienced it quite a bit, is anger and frustration for me, especially early in the mornings. I can get after some people.
Yeah, that's same here. And, I really have to dial it back in the mornings. Yeah.
And what I've noticed is, and through doing that, intensive that we went through, and kind of our guide, her name's Ann Ryan, what she coached me on was, hey, understanding that it's like, get to the gym, and it's like, bring your Bible or your devotional with you to the gym.
Yeah.
And then it kind of puts you in the terminology of this intensive. It was kind of like sage versus saboteur. Like saboteur is that frustration coming out and that anger and all of that negativity. And it's like that physical activity. I mean, and it's backed by science. Yeah. Like it does put you in that also, sage.
Yeah, it's also biblical too. Like,
yeah.
Like I feel like naturally we're not supposed to sit behind screens and sit inside and watch TV. And you make that one change by just going outside and spending less time on your phone.
Yeah.
You're going to see a massive difference.
Absolutely.
And to kind of your point, with some of the intensive that we did with Ann Ryan, it's like, doing your Bible study on the way to the gym. And then when you're doing those physical activities, you have time to reflect. Yeah. Like what I do, I read the word in the morning, and then I go on a walk. Yeah. I gotta do a 30 to 45 minute walk. Yep. And I get a lot of clarity there. But it's also, I'm getting sun, I'm getting all these things that your body needs. Yep. Yeah. It just it improves your mood. For sure.
Yeah. One of the things that has helped me or whatever is I've done the gratitude journal, or saying out loud 3 things that you're grateful for. You say you can't be grateful and angry at the same time. So really,
I needed to hear that.
Putting in perspective, because I'm the same way. I'll wake up in the morning sometimes just be frustrated or thinking about all I have to do and what I got to do with the world and everything. And I'm sure I'll put off a certain aura or whatever. My wife be like, "Are you upset?" Like, no, I'm fine. Why? And it's clear that something's bothering me or something's on my mind or whatever, and it's always in the morning. So it's I got to really be intentional about I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful for even having these problems, because years ago I prayed for the things that I have now, and it should be just saying that out loud, and then doing your best to navigate through the emotions at the time. And but no, I'm big on working out in the morning and getting that out of the way, and because I just feel better. It just sets the tone for the day for me, for sure.
Yeah. And that's cool that you guys are kind of incorporating that into your retreats, those pillars, because we kind of have within our business, we have the 5 F's, so faith, family, friends, finance, fitness. Yep. And it's that same concept. Like how you do one of those is how you're going to do all of them.
Absolutely.
And some of them can be kind of that catalyst to get you going in the other arenas. And it sounds like with us, I mean, one of the similarities I'm hearing is it's fitness. Yeah. Like, dude, if I'm not working out, I'm probably not getting into the word, probably not treating my family right. Right. Finances, like who knows, like if I'm getting on the phone at work, pissed off and stuff, like, and then, family, all that stuff kind of suffers. Yep. So absolutely. That's cool, man. That's cool. So if you were kind of talking to somebody that, might be going through things and, maybe they're on the fence with the faith or they don't know a whole lot about it. What would your advice be to them?
My advice would be, get with somebody that you trust that is into the faith. Somebody that you have certain similarities with, likes to do certain things that you like to do, and maybe, pick their brain about it and see how it's helped them in their life. Most people, most people I know, that are into faith and, religion and everything have no problem, just like I tell people in the gym, people are so, self-conscious about being in the gym. It's like, what if people are judging me? What if this? What if this? Like, if they're truly in the gym for the right reasons, or if they're truly in religion for the right reasons, they're going to want to help you. They're going to want to answer your questions and kind of be there for you and kind of be a guide through that. Because, I mean, there are, even there's some Christians and there's some people in the gym that, maybe have their own personal reasons for doing what they do, and they might not, you might start getting that judgment from them that that you don't want to see. So it's like, find somebody you trust that, is actually active in doing these things, and talk to them about your concerns, your worries, and things like that. Like I have friends who have come out before and say, I don't believe in God. I don't believe in this or this or this. And now they'll hit me up. And it's funny because one of my good friends, about 2-3 months ago, like, hey, I went to church today. You know,
that's
like,
awesome.
You know, and he reached out to me because and I was like, man, that's great. I was like, what'd you think? He's like, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. So I was like, that's a step forward. I'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So and it's like, just keep kind of putting it out there. People. So I have a devotional book myself, and I'll post it on my stories.
I've seen that,
and people will, every time I post it, hey, what book is that? Somebody else, what book is that? And then, I'll flip the cover, I'll share it with them and everything like that. So it's just little things you can kind of do to kind of plant that seed in people. And it's like, I'm not really preaching on my social media platforms and everything like that, but I do let it be known that I believe in God and that, I'm willing to be here and help or answer any questions. I'm not the most knowledgeable on the book, but, I'll answer what I can and explain how it's helped me and things that I've struggled with that it's kind of led me through and stuff like that.
Yeah. Dude, that brings up a really good point. I mean, we actually had a really cool example of that this morning. Mm-hmm. One of our team members, so we do a workout Wednesday mornings at Project Power, and then we go to like a fellowship breakfast.
Awesome.
And we were just going around, kind of just casual conversation. We didn't have any content to go over. And we were just kind of getting like spiritual updates, like, hey, how are you doing? And one of our team members, they kind of step away from the faith. She came back in fairly recently. And she's like, man, I went out to Colorado, and she's like, I don't know a whole lot about this stuff. All I can kind of relay is my experiences. Yeah. But I found myself like talking to my family about God, and she's like, that's never been something because I don't want to upset people and all that stuff. And you made the point, obviously that example, it's like, sometimes it's just, with what you have, going out there and sharing it and you don't know who it's going to help. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. And I think what I'm sensing from the way that you're talking about it is you're not putting a whole lot of pressure on yourself to make sure that they become Christians. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's just like, hey, no, I'm here. Mm-hmm. And dude, that's an awesome way to approach it because I could tell you I didn't do that at the beginning.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people that like my past is so terrible that nobody's gonna believe that I've changed or nobody's gonna listen to me about God because they know how I used to be. And it's like, oh, he's but you can change, you can become better. There's different examples of people who've come to Christ in the Bible that didn't have the most honorable lives, and you can be that next testimony.
Honestly, a lot of the men in the Bible had wild, crazy lives, and then God used them and used their experiences and molded them and brought a lot of people to Christ. I think a big piece is obedience, and when you're obedient, like the Holy Spirit will take over from there. Absolutely. There's a lot of times where I've said things to people in those situations where I'm just talking to them about God, and there's just like things that I don't think about on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. It's the Holy Spirit.
Absolutely.
If you're obedient, He'll step in and He'll plant the seed that needs to be planted. Yeah. And then, honestly, it's not your responsibility after that. Yeah. You leave it to God, because if you try to take the reins and take responsibility,
you're going to mess it up.
Yeah, you're going to mess it up, and then you're doing it for the glory of yourself.
Yeah, I'm a big God to work it out kind of guy. Even with the I had the same thing. So last year we had the casino night, and we set the diamond sponsorship for what it was. And Taylor, my event manager, she was like, should we pull this or should we make it less? Or I was like, no. I said, keep it where it is. And that week, another guy, Matt Joe, who's pretty big in his faith as well, he was like, hey, I want the diamond sponsorship. Yeah. So then we got to the same thing again this year. She's like, hey, what should we do? This, and that. And then Maria connected us, and then you guys got the diamond sponsor. So it was, I'm always a big believer that, and if it's not meant to be for certain situations, then it's not meant to be, and for a reason, then you kind of reevaluate some things, and then get back to the drawing board and go from there. But I have tons of examples where God's seen me through, some of the worst situations that I never thought I'd actually make it out of alive, and I'm still here. So it must be some purpose.
Yeah. Well, dude, and that I mean, your whole kind of story. I feel like the theme of it is obedience, right? Like when you went out to Colorado, it's like, man, I could be doing something more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And then that obedience to take that step, and then God's like, man, I got you.
Yep.
Like I'm gonna take care of it. And that's a good point too. It's like, if it doesn't work out, that doesn't mean that God doesn't have us.
Correct.
It just means that God's redirecting us.
Oh, yeah.
Like there's something else to learn from that.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's some good wisdom.
Yeah. What is it? God's rejection is sometimes his protection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome, man. So, there was one thing that you said that that really kind of hit me, and I think it's because last month really seemed to be pretty heavy season with funerals.
Yeah.
I know I went to one, you went to one, and you went to two.
Wow.
Yeah. And like one of the things that constantly comes up in my mind when I'm at a funeral, it's like, have you ever heard that thing of like, hey, to try to kind of it's in the book Warrior Poet Way by John Lavelle. He was a ranger, turned minister.
Nice.
Pretty solid book. And he talks about like writing out your own eulogy. Mm-hmm. And I know I experienced that when I was at the funeral. I'm like, man, like who do I want to be? Like the funeral I was at was beautiful. Mm-hmm. I know I mentioned on a couple podcasts ago, but it was my buddy's mom, and she was strong in her faith, and you could just see all of the people there, and it was because she displayed love and kindness. And it sounds like you kind of had a similar experience with that shootout of like, man, like I'm gonna die in this parking lot, and like so how did that kind of change the trajectory?
Well, it was more so, they talk about, you could die today and your job will replace you the next day.
Oh yeah.
And everything like that.
Number,
so it's like, where are you putting your energy and where are you putting your focus? And it's like, I wouldn't get necessarily a return on my investment into law enforcement and everything. And I wasn't feeling fulfilled. And, it's just there's a lot of negativity in law enforcement. I mean, I'm sure military as well. And stuff like that. A lot of
Cynicism,
negativity. I mean, you have your people you sit next to every day. Sometimes they're just, as soon as you walk in, like this happened. Like, man, do you have anything good happen today? Do you have any good days? Like, how's your family? How's your kids? And you just kind of get sucked into that negative mentality or whatever, and you really have to fight to get out of it. Because, I mean, when you surround yourself with it, and then you're dealing with, when you're in law enforcement, you're not dealing with the good people every day. Yes, there are some good people you come across and everything like that, but you're dealing with a lot of criminals, rule breakers, some evil people in society that want to just see the world burn. So when you're constantly indulged in that, you have to have some sort of outlet. And then when I started, WillBinspired, that was my way of kind of balancing things out. And then, even when things got really bad, it shouldn't take this much for me to like go to church or, say it's like, I need to go to church today. Like it should be a regular thing. But that was it. And I just really found myself, needing something different, or I was just probably going to shut down completely. Like after that second shooting in that year, I was like, you know what, I'm quitting. I'll figure it out. I'm just not going to do this anymore. And then luckily I had, cause we were having my son, I had a 3-month break, paid leave, and I got to kind of decompress, kind of figure some things out. And I did go back, but I went back with a different perspective. It's like, I tell people, you don't have to love the job to love what it provides sometimes, and love what, the change that you are making. So, I was still doing law enforcement, but then doing this, on the side. And then, people were taking me a little more seriously because I was in the job, and I had done the job. And, people know that, what I've been through, and a lot of it's not public, but there are certain people who've seen, me make a change in my own life. And, that kind of spoke up like, hey, I see you turn things around, and you really went through it. I know what you've been through. And, I'd like to have a piece of that as well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, that all goes back to, being that example.
Yep, for sure.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, at your job, you're just a number.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
You are building a legacy with the people that you're helping, and it's cool. I mean, the day that you go and meet the Father, it's like, people are going to remember you. They're not going to remember, or they may remember you as a cop, but the big thing is all the people that you helped.
Yep,
so
for sure.
That's a good point.
Yeah, absolutely. So, man, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on.
Absolutely.
If people want to get involved, on both sides, maybe somebody that's listening, because I could almost guarantee we have some military folks on here. if people are struggling or they just want to get involved and maybe donate, how do they get in contact with you?
WillBinspired.com is probably the main way. My email is willbeinspired@gmail.com. I do have social media platforms, Will Bates on Facebook and Will Be Inspired on Instagram.
Awesome. And if there's somebody that needs some help, just hit those up. And
yeah, I mean, on the website we have intake forms. So if you're a veteran looking for, sponsorships, athlete sponsorships, gym memberships, or looking to get started physically, need some help with nutrition, or just having some hard times, and we need to figure out what avenues might help you the best. WillBeinspired.com is probably the best thing for that.
Yeah, and I'll kind of use something that you said. I mean, if that's not you, but you know somebody,
absolutely,
bring them, because at the end of the day, we're all brothers in this together.
Yeah,
and helping the guy to the left and right of you. I mean, that's a big part of the job.
And we're based out of St. Louis, but we've helped people all across the nation. So
nice.
I mean, coast to coast, we've done something, not in every state, but a fair amount of states or whatever. And people get surprised, like, oh, you really? I had one guy, a veteran in Arizona, who's having trouble sleeping or whatever. I said, okay, and I sent him some magnesium to kind of help with sleep and everything like that. And he was like, oh, I didn't think you really, you really do. I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm here for. As long as the money is coming in and everything. And it's like, I don't look at it as coming in to me. It's like it's for what it's for. It's for helping people and either getting people back on their feet or getting them involved in exercise. And we do the veteran first responder workouts for free twice a month. Me and my buddy Jeff Lavecchio, whatever. So we're all about getting people better, and even having people be a part of a community to build them up.
Yeah. No, absolutely. That's awesome, man. Well, like I said, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna leave it with one of your little taglines.
Yeah.
Like, hey, if you're a person that wants to help or you're a person that needs help, take action.
Absolutely. Take action. That's
all
it.
right, man.
All right. Thank you guys very much for having me. I really appreciate
it. Of course.
It's been fun.
Pleasure.
Absolutely. Yep. Thanks for tuning into The Knock. If this story moved you or made you think, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs hope. Follow us on social media at The Knock Podcast for more content. And remember, God is always knocking. The question is, will you answer?